Welcome. This is week 2 of the 6-week beginner series. Hopefully you've been feeling well. We are going to come down to our backs, open up with a relaxation. So a guided relaxation to get started today. So carefully coming on down to your back. And whatever's comfortable for your legs. If you're listening to your low back, if it's okay for you, right, you can extend your legs long and those feet can go to the far corner edges of your mat. But if your back is tight or you have issues in your back, it might feel better for you to go into constructive rest. So that's where your knees are bent, but your feet are as wide as your mat. Your knees are coming in towards each other, and they may touch and help support one another, so you don't have to engage your leg muscles while you're holding your knees up in that position. And the arms can open up that A-frame position where the palms face the ceiling. You wriggle the shoulders down away from your ears a little bit more. Find some length in the back of your neck, tuck the chin in towards the heart. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, you may close your eyes here. Good. Just taking the first couple of moments to settle into your mat. And thinking about your practice ahead. The bottoms of your feet are relaxed. Your toes are relaxed. The tops of your feet are relaxed. Your calves are relaxed. And let your thighs be soft here. And let your belly go. The muscles of your face are soft. The tongue in your mouth is resting softly. You bring some small movements back into the body. So starting by wiggling your fingers and wiggling your toes. And the next bigger movement, circling your wrists and your ankles. Change the directions of your circles. If it's reasonable in your neck, you might gently rock your head side to side. Bring the head back to center. We're going to begin with some movements for the upper body. So again, whatever's comfortable for your legs. If you want to stay in the same position or if you want to change your position. We're going to bring the arms alongside the body now. The palms are touching your mat. And inhale, take the arms up overhead. And exhale, bring the arms back. Those arms do not have to touch the floor behind you. If that's not available to you, don't worry about that. We're warming up the shoulders and the chest. Getting a nice little stretch here. Almost like that good morning stretch feeling. Inhale, the arms go overhead. Exhale, and returning back to center. Noticing how the first movements are feeling. Some of us have shoulder issues, so this may not be all that simple or easy. Next time the palms have come down, resting beside you, we'll pause there for a second. We'll change the movement. We're going to make snow angels. So with the hands touching your mat to start sliding your hands out to the side. So you're still keeping contact with your mat and the floor. When you get to shoulder height, flip the palms up towards the ceiling and continue that movement, taking the arms overhead. Again, they may not be touching the floor. And then reverse that, bring them back down alongside you. When they get to shoulder height, flip the palms back to touch the floor, return to your hips. So keep moving at your pace, with your breath. So you can inhale as the arms go overhead, and exhale as they come back down alongside you. It's a long movement though, so we have to slow down the breath. Not unusual to get maybe some cracks or some clunking in the shoulders, and as long as it's not painful to you, that's okay. We have one more of these movements. Palms again are resting back near your hips. Just give a second there. When you change this movement, we're going to Cossack arms. You reach around and have a hold of your elbows. Again, if you need to change your leg position, feel free. Inhale here, center. The arms are over your chest. And then exhale, take your arms over to one side. Inhale, they come back to center. Exhale, they're going to go over to the other side. An option, as you keep moving here, to take your gaze in the opposite direction of your arms. You get a little neck movement as well, if that's okay in your neck. Next time, the arms are back over your chest area, the center. You switch your grip, so the other arm is crossed on top, still holding elbows. And we're going to change the movements. You can inhale, take your arms over your forehead area, circling around. Exhale, come back down over your chest, your belly area. And maybe that's a smaller circle for you. Maybe that feels better for you. Next time they're over the chest, belly area, change the direction of your circles. Still inhaling as they go overhead, over the forehead. Exhale as they're coming back to center. Get the last circle here. And then we'll rest those arms beside you. Give those arms a little bit of a rest. We'll move on to the lower body. So hug the right knee in towards your chest. Okay, and we're going to do some hip circles here. So option, right hand can hold that knee and left arm can be beside you, or you might go with no hands and just let that leg circle on its own. So with the right leg, making some hip circles. Smaller, bigger. Ideally as big as you can make them. Listen to your body though. I always think that yoga is gentle, but every pose is bad for somebody. So know that you can leave something out of the practice. We're never doing anything for so long that you're going to miss out on a lot. Change the directions of the circles. Good, and then we're going to straighten that right leg up towards the ceiling. Left leg, what would you like to do there? Maybe it feels better to bend it up or keep it straight. If you can take a grip behind your right thigh or behind your right calf, go ahead. If not, don't worry about it. Or if your head and shoulders are coming off the mat to get there, I'd rather you back it off and leave the arms out. And we'll do some point and flex with the toes as well. The hamstring stretch and some nice ankle movement. Now that left leg, if you have bent it up, I'm going to ask that you extend that left leg straight down. We're going to go into our first twist here. It is a knee down twist. So that right foot, we're going to gently place it on top of your left leg somewhere. Could be upper, above the knee, maybe it's below the knee. If it's on the knee, just be careful you don't push too much on it. If you think that's going to happen for you, then let's move that foot away from the kneecap. You can extend your arms out from the shoulders in preparation for your twist. Take an inhale. And on an exhale, drop your legs over to the left. The option, you can take that left hand if you feel like you need to anchor down the outside of that right leg. Try to keep your right shoulder rooted down here though. So you might have to back off a little bit. And the option is to look over the right shoulder as well if you want to get your neck into it, if that feels okay for you. Otherwise, the gaze is straight up towards the ceiling. One more breath here. And then with a big inhale, you bring your gaze and the legs back up to center. Stretch that right leg out and give the shake to the legs, or a little bounce of the legs on the mat. And then we're going to bring that left knee in for those hip circles. So left hand can hold it or no hands, up to you. And circle that knee, that hip around. Noticing differences now between one side and the other. Maybe you don't feel any difference, that's okay too. Okay, we'll change the direction of the circles. Beautiful. Bring it in. If you can grip behind, go ahead. Let's extend that left leg up towards the ceiling and point, flex the toes. You might even play with spreading out your toes, whatever feels good there. And then we'll extend that right leg out if you haven't already, preparing for our knee down twist. Gently place that left foot on the top of your right leg somewhere. Extend the arms out from the shoulders. Inhale, and then exhale, drop the legs over towards your right. Would you like a little anchor down there? Do you want to look over the left shoulder? Checking in that that left shoulder though is staying down on your mat or the floor here. And next inhale is to draw everything back to center. Stretch out those legs. Again, we'll give them a little bit of a bounce and shake. And we're going to move on to our seats. So you bend up the knees one at a time, roll over to one side, use that top hand, push your way up. We come to our seats, we're going to go right into Dandasana, or staff pose. That's both the legs extended straight out in front of you. They're about hip width distance apart. Okay, and activate the muscles in both the legs. So pull all your toes back towards your face. And then hands can be tented fingers depending on the length of your arm bones, or maybe the palms are touching down, but hands are here beside you. Sitting up nice and tall. Muscles along the spine are working, leg muscles are working, so we're not just sitting here. This is a very active seated pose. And finding something on the horizon to look at. Yoga poses also have a drishti, or a gaze. Here, right straight straight ahead somewhere. The core is slightly engaged to hold us up here. We're going to engage it a little bit more with Navasana or boat pose. So I invite you to bend up your knees, place your foot soles on the mat now. Hands can go behind your thighs. And first we'll test the water. So bring one foot off the mat, hold for a beat, put it down, and then the other one. We'll alternate there. This is a good place to start. And maybe you like to start with this. This is feeling like work for you today. Stay with that. Or if you want to move on to the next level, see if you can hold both those feet off the mat. Good, sitting up nice and tall. If you still need another edge, you might remove those hands. The arms can reach forward. Good job. I feel this work even in my quadricep muscles, the thighs, they're working too. Good, come on down, put those feet down, and you just wrap your hands around your legs for quiet pose. Let those abdominal muscles, the core muscles, a little bit quiet. I think we should do that one more time. So you know we have about 3 different levels there. Pick the level you'd like. Maybe it's the same level, or maybe you want to challenge yourself, or maybe that felt like that probably was a little bit too much, then you can back it off. Okay, so coming back up, hands behind the thighs. So you have the alternating heel tap downs. You can hold and still keep the hands behind the thighs for support, or extend those arms. Good. And breathing. One more breath. Good, we're going to release into Sukhasana, easy pose, which is cross-legged. If you need to put one leg straight in front of the other, or even extend a leg all the way out if that feels better in your body, feel free to do that. So it's your easy pose. Doesn't have to look like anybody else's easy pose. We're going to practice our Ujjayi breath again. So we have that image of fogging up a mirror and then defogging the mirror. We can again start with the mouth open if that's helpful. So looking ahead, you have the little compact mirror in front of your face. If you need even to put your hand there, if that's a helpful visual, please feel free to do that. Okay, we're going to fog up that mirror. Good. You can feel that constriction at the back of the throat. So now we're going to do that same thing, same feeling, but defog the mirror. So exhale to fog it. And then when you inhale, try to defog the mirror. Good. Now can you maintain that? Close the mouth and doing it through the nose. A quieter sound. At least to those around you, a little quieter maybe. Good, we're going to come back to that a couple times throughout the practice. And right now, in fact, we're going to come forward into tabletop position, or if you need to go swing your legs around, do it that way. Tabletop position, hands on the knees. And I'm going to change my point of view over here for some cat-cow. Cat-cow is a great movement for the spine, and we can use that Ujjayi breath, I think, when we're here. Check, and if you need some padding in your back, your knees right here, you can roll up the back of your mat a little bit, 2-3 rolls, whatever you need. And then check that your hips are over your knees, back up here, and that your shoulders are over the elbows, over the wrists. Okay, inhale into that cow shape, where the tailbone starts to tip up towards the ceiling, getting a curve like an old mare in the low back there. That movement goes to the spine. Last, lift the back of the head to the ceiling, lift your chin. Exhale, begin to tuck your tail between your legs, so we're rounding, punching that spine up towards the ceiling. Push your mat away, tuck your chin towards the heart. Now you can add that Ujjayi breath if you like. Inhale to your cow, and exhale to your cat. Maybe you like to close your eyes for this movement. This movement is always initiated, always starts at the base of the spine, the bottom. The last thing to move is your head. Well done. I'm going to finish off in cat. That ends the cycle. And inhale back to flat back, neutral position. We're going to practice our balance a little closer to the mat. So in this position first is a balancing cat or bird dog. Extend your left leg straight back behind you. You're going to lift it up no higher than hip height though. Don't go any higher than your hip. And point those toes down towards your mat. So it's an active leg. And for some of us, this might already be a challenge for the balance. So stay here. You don't have to go any further. Work with that. That's your edge today. Others are looking for more of a challenge. Extend your right arm out. So it's the opposite arm to leg. Okay? Straight out in front of you. Neutral neck here. So looking towards the top of your mat. Belly button slightly pulled towards the spine, so the core muscles are engaged here. Excellent. Let's bring that hand and that knee back down. Switch to the other side. Right leg's going to extend straight back behind. Check in, you're not going past the hip height. Pull those toes down so they're pointing towards your mat. And know balance can be different from one side to the other. So deciding if this is enough for you or if you want to extend that left arm straight out front. Pull that belly button towards the spine. Good, and breathing. Release the hand and the knee down. Take your knees as wide as your mat. Big toes can touch and push your seat back towards your heels. Come into an extended wide-kneed child's pose. Okay. And you can support yourself on your elbows if it's not available for you to bring your forehead down, or if you have uncontrolled blood pressure issues and you don't want to drop the head below the heart, you can also stack your fists and place those underneath your forehead. A nice grounding pose anytime during the practice. If it feels like it's getting a bit too much, you can come to child's pose and rest. And regroup. Good. We're going to come back up to that tabletop position briefly. We're going to work up into our downward facing dog to come to standing. And if you prefer just to come to standing in your own way, know that you can do that. We're going to curl the toes under so your toe mounds are on the mat. Lift those knees off the mat, draw your chest towards your thighs, and then begin to straighten your legs more or less. And it's always nice to walk the dog. If it's your first downward facing dog of the day, you can take a generous bend in one knee, bend and bring the other heel down. Enjoy a little calf stretch there. Switching to the other side. And then we'll bring those heels into stillness and get strong in our downward facing dog. Now, so feet are hip width distance apart, arms or hands or shoulder width apart. Unless you're tight in your shoulders, you may have to go wider with that. Spread your fingers nice and wide. Middle fingers are pointing forward. Keep pressing your ears in between your biceps and pressing that chest towards your thighs. 2 more breaths here. Soften your knees and you begin to walk your hands and your feet together. Generous bend in those knees, one hand on one thigh, one hand on the other thigh, and come up to standing. Good. I'm going to come to the back of the mat, but you can be anywhere on your mat you like here. Maybe it's mid-mat, front of your mat, wherever you're comfortable. Before we move anywhere else, I do want to do a breathing practice, but we're going to build our Tadasana, or our mountain pose. Have a look at your feet. You want to make sure that all your toes are pointing forward, so you don't have 1 or 2 of those duck feet. The toes pointing forward, about 1.5 fists distance between your feet. And then you can line up the outside edge of your feet with the outside edge of your mat. Soften your knees a little bit. Many people have a tendency to lock out the knees. Puts a lot of strain and stress on the backs of the legs, like the hamstrings and behind the knees. Okay, and then the shoulders, we'll roll them back a few times. And if it's okay for you, you can finish with the palms facing away. If something else feels better for you, feel free to do a different shape with the arms. Crown of the head is reaching up towards the ceiling, and then pull the chin back towards, again, towards your heart center. Finding something on the horizon to gaze at, or if you're comfortable, doesn't make you feel dizzy, and you don't have uncontrolled blood pressure issues, you might choose to close your eyes here. And feel the weight of your body evenly distributed to the bottoms of both of your feet. So if you feel like you're maybe got a little more weight tipped over to one side, try to even that off, or maybe it's more forward or more towards the back. Feet are grounded to earth. We're feeling rooted. Good. If you've closed your eyes, and gently flutter those open. I'm going to take you through breath for depression today. It begins with hands in front of heart center in Anjali Mudra. Inhale, one hand will go up, other hand will go down, and you may follow that top hand with your gaze. Exhale, palms come back together. Inhale the other direction, so other arm going up, maybe following that with your gaze. Exhale, they come back together. But really think about opening up your heart here. Chest, maybe even exaggerating that a little bit. Inhale as we open. Exhale as we're turning back to heart center. Good. Well done. I'm going to do one more here so I feel like I've evened off. Nice. Finishing again with hands in front of heart center. We're going to pause there and bring our Ujjayi breath back to the practice, because we're going to begin with some sun breaths and folds, the beginning of sun salutation A. Okay, so coming back to your Ujjayi breath, inhale and exhaling. Good. Inhale, salute, arms sweep up. Gaze up to your hands or straight ahead. And then exhale, fold, hands through heart center. Hands reach what's ever available to you as you come into your fold. Inhale, using your Ujjayi breath, lift up to a half fold. And then exhale, refold. Inhale brings us back up to top, reversing those arms, swan dive. And then exhale, hands float back down again in front of heart center. We'll take a moment here. Samastiti means to stand and take a breath. I'd like to do that cycle 2 more times. Again, using your Ujjayi breath. Inhale, sweet. Exhale to fold. Inhale to lift up halfway to a half fold. Exhale, fold again. Inhale, return it back up. And exhale, floating hands back down in front of heart center. Good. Pausing, Samastiti, take a breath right here. Last time through this cycle, inhale, sweep. Exhale, fold. Inhale to lift. Exhale, refold. Inhale, back up. Exhale, hands in front of heart center. Samastiti, take a breath. Always good advice throughout your day. Just be still and take a breath. We're going to go into a half moon, which is a nice standing side bend. So if it's okay for you, you can take the arms overhead, palms face each other, drop those shoulders down away from the ears. Notice if you have locked out the knees like I do sometimes. I'm going to soften those knees. Inhale to prepare. And then on exhale, side bend to your right. Good. Now it's okay to keep the arms like this. If there's some discomfort, maybe you'd like to drop that right hand down to the right side of your leg. Other option, left hand can come down to your left shoulder. So I know there's lots of shoulder issues, so you find what works for you. As long as we're doing our side bend, some variation with the arms that works for you. Good. Gazing ahead or maybe up towards the ceiling. I'm going to come back to center. I'm going to return my arms to that position. Inhale. Whoa, that's a lot of work. Inhale back to center. Take a breath. And then on an exhale, come to your left, your side bend. Same option if you want to drop that bottom hand. If you want to bring that top hand to your shoulder. And then deciding on your drishti or your gaze here. If it's feeling intense, use your Ujjayi breath. Good. Inhale, come back up. And return your arms alongside you. And if you haven't already come to the back of your mat, that's where we like to come. You can come to the back of your mat. I'm going to go this way for a couple of warriors. Actually, I'm going to go this way. A couple of warriors. Warrior 1, Warrior 2, or Virabhadrasana 1, Virabhadrasana 2. If you're working on your Sanskrit. We're going to take a pretty good step forward with that left foot. That left leg, okay? That back foot, we do want it landed down. It's going to be at some kind of an angle. Hands onto your hips. We're going to make this dynamic first. The hands on your hips. Take your right hip a little bit more forward if you can, kind of square your hips here. I'm going to inhale to prepare and use your Ujjayi breath here. Exhale, bend into that front knee. Inhale, straighten that front leg. Keep moving with your breath. Exhale as you fold it, bend it. And that's what dynamic means. It means you're just moving with the breath. Next, inhale as that front leg is straightened. Pause here for a second and know that we're going to do another round of that dynamic version, but if you'd like to add the arms, you can. Okay, so we'll take a breath in here. Exhale, bend that front knee, take the arms overhead. Inhale back to center, straightening that leg, bring the arms back down alongside you. Next time that front knee is bent, whether your arms are overhead or on your hips, we're going to hold there. Hold that Warrior 1, Virabhadrasana 1. Good. Straighten that front leg. Turn your right toes to face out at a 90-degree angle away from the front. Warrior 2. Now our hips are open up to the wall, or whatever is in front of you here. With the hands on the hips, we're going to make it dynamic again. We're still that left knee. Exhale, bend. And inhale, straighten. Use your Ujjayi breath here. Lots of practice to get really good at it. Next time that front knee is straightened. You can add the arms here if you want to. So as you exhale, bend into that front knee, arms can sweep out from your shoulders. And then exhale, they return back to center and you straighten there. Good. That's an exhale as we move forward and inhale back to center. Good. Next time, that front knee is bent, whether your hands are on your hips or you're going to float those arms up from the shoulders, let's hold there in our Warrior 2. And the gaze here, if your arms are extending out from the shoulders, is out those left fingertips right now. Perfect. Catch the hips, straighten that front leg, push off your back foot and bring it to the top of your mat to meet that other foot. Samastiti, we'll take a breath. Hands in front of heart center, keep that back hip width distance apart. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, you can close your eyes here and soften your knees. Taking a rest between sides and forgetting about that first side because it's already in the past. We're going to do that on the second side, which has nothing to do with the first side. So come to the back of your mat again, from wherever you find yourself. Okay, generous step forward with the right leg this time. Left foot is still flatly on your mat, but turned in slightly at some kind of an angle. Hands on the hips first. Exhale, bend into that front knee. And exhale, inhale, straighten. Okay, yeah. Exhale, bend. Inhale, straighten, using your Ujjayi breath. Now if you'd like to add the arms, next time that leg is straightened, okay, thinking about the arms if you want to. Exhale, arms float up overhead, you bend into that knee, and inhale, return back to start position. Next time you're down in your warrior one, so to speak, down, hands on the hips or arms overhead, let's hold there. Good. Go back to starting position, straighten that front leg, catch the hips. Now we'll pivot that left foot out, 90-degree angle away from the front. Okay, still dynamic, and keep the hands on the hips this first version. Exhale, bend into that right knee, and inhale, straighten. Okay, next time that right knee is straightened, thinking about would you like to add the arms, and if you would like to, exhale, bend that right knee, float those arms out from shoulder. Inhale, returning to that start position. Looking out the right fingertips if you're floating those arms out. And if you would like to hold your warrior two, whether the arms are out or still on your hips, let's hold there. Good job. Catch those hips, straighten that front leg. Let's push off the back foot, bring it to the other, left foot to the right foot, and Samastiti. Take a breath. Well done. Soften your knees while you're standing here. And then you can prepare for a balancing pose. We're going to do tree pose today. How do you prepare for a balancing pose? Know that if you need to come off your mat, some people find the mat is a little too squishy, throws their balance off. You can come off your mat. If you feel like you need a little bit of help with your balance, it's okay. Use the wall. Don't just put all your weight and hang out on the wall though. It's light fingertips, and maybe you're even able to do a little touch and go when you get there. Okay, with your hands on your hips again, catch those hips. Shift your weight foot to foot. First step, wake up the feet, the brain, preparing for this balancing pose. Good. Okay, we're going to keep all the weight into your left foot. Come up onto the ball of your right toes. Pivot that right leg out so your right heel lands on your left ankle. Before you go any further, if you want to choose to go further, check in that you're keeping your pelvis level. So there's a tendency easily to collapse into, in this case, that left hip, that left standing leg. So let's try and keep that pelvis nice and level. I know that this is already an expression of tree pose. You come up onto those toes. It's a challenge for the balance. If you're not already, you can stay here. You don't have to go any further. But if you like to, I'm going to bring that right foot up and to the inside of your left calf. Keep pushing that right knee out, nice and open. Find something on the horizon to focus on, something that's not moving. Good. And then if you want to add in more, you can change the hand expression, the arm expression. So hands can come in front of heart center. They can stay there. You might take those arms overhead. Maybe you feel like growing your branches and opening those arms up. Good. It's your expression of tree. It's your body working your balance. So everybody can look different here. I know you're doing a great job. And I think balancing poses are fun. Like, oh, you wobble, you fall out, just come back. Try it again. You're going to float those hands back down through heart center to the hips if you've taken them overhead. Pivot that right leg forward, stretch it out, and place it back down. Good job. Pedal those feet out a little bit. Did you feel all that work happening in that left leg? That standing leg's getting lots of great work. Okay, shifting the weight over to the right foot this time. Come up onto the ball of those left toes. Pivot out so the left heel lands on the right ankle and check in, pelvis, hips. We want to try and keep them level even as we move on to other parts here if you are changing the expression of your tree pose. Okay, you can stay there. Do you want to bring that left foot up to the side, inside of that calf? Stay here. You want to change the arm expression. And guess what? You can express your tree different from one side to the other. Your body may determine that for you. Good. And trees move in the wind, so it's okay if you're moving. Trees do not stay still, and nor should we, right? Good. Couple more breaths here. You can gently float those hands back down to your hips, pivot that leg forward, stretch it out, and place it down. Pedal those feet up. Good job. We're going to come into horse pose, or eventually we're coming our way down to the mat. Horse pose, just like you were riding a horse. Take your feet nice and wide, bend into the knees. And this might be up here high, hands onto your thighs. And this can be your horse pose. Think about pushing your knees out though. If it's okay for you, want to come down lower, you might take your forearms to the inside of your thighs and give a little more push back there. Keep your gaze up. Don't look down at the ground here, then the body's going to want to follow. Keep the gaze up. Good. We're going to come down to the belly for Sphinx pose, any way that works for you, okay? So you bring your hands down to the mat, bring down one knee, then the other. I'm going to go this way. Down in prone position on the belly. How about we stretch the arms forward to start? And take a little gander back to your legs. Do they feel like they're about hip width distance apart? If you can make that, if you have back issues, it might feel better for you to go slightly wider than hip width distance apart. Find some length in those legs, and your toenails are on the mat or on the floor. And then slide the left elbow underneath the left shoulder, right underneath that shoulder, and then the right elbow underneath the right shoulder. And those arms shoulder width apart. Press your forearms and your palms into the mat. The neck is nice and long. Don't allow it to collapse down into the shoulders here. Nice gentle back bend. Gazing maybe a foot or a foot and a half ahead of your mat. More neutral neck, more gazes straight ahead. But we're not going to drop the head or look up to the ceiling here. Good. Feeling the breath as it compresses into your mat here. Good, you push your palms into the mat, pivot those elbows out to the side, and bring your forehead to stacked hands. That's crocodile, the big toes touch and the heels roll out to the side. But if your back feels like it's a little tight, you might want to do some wipers. You can bend your knees and then windshield wipe those legs side to side. Release the legs, and from where you are, just simply roll over onto your back. Bridge pose, and then it's going to be relaxation time. You've done lots of work. Okay. The bridge pose begins in a nice hook line position, knees bent, feet on the mat. And then your legs, you might have to peek up to see that they're about hip width distance apart, so you don't want too wide or too stuck together. Just the Goldilocks position there, hip width distance apart. Knees stacked over your ankles. Arms alongside the body. And to give you the option, this is a nice one, is to grip the sides of your mat. You won't see me because of my mat setup. I won't be able to grip the right side of my mat. But you can hold on to the sides of your mat for this, okay? And inhale, begin to peel your seat and spine up off the mat. Really think about trying to push your hips up to the ceiling so you get lots of nice extension. The legs here, which is the opposite position that we spend most of our time because we're sitting down a little too much maybe. Keep checking in that your knees are not flaring out to the sides, they're staying stacked over the ankles. Chest is coming towards the chin, and you may look down the chest line here. Good. On an exhale, begin to lay your spine down, starting at the top. When your seat finally touches the mat, you can go ahead and hug your knees into the chest. Maybe rock a little or circle your knees. What would feel good in the back? What would not feel good in the back? Let's not do that. And then one more time, that bridge pose. Okay. Send yourself up again. You know what to do. Those little alignment cues, right? Legs are hip width distance apart. My knees are over my ankles. Arms are alongside, or if you like that, gripping the side of the mat, please use that. And I almost feel like you're pulling your mat away from you with your hands, okay? On an inhale, peel that seat and spine up off the mat again. Check in, knees are staying in line over the ankles. And feel all the weight again on the bottoms of your feet. So the whole bottoms of your feet are on your mat. One more breath here. Good. And then gently lay that spine down. Seat touches down one more time. Bringing the knees in, finding a bit of movement. And as you're thinking about your relaxation, know that do you need to stay warm? Because we will be moving, so your body temperature will come down. So if you want to put socks or your sweaters back on, if you've taken those off, or if you have a blanket nearby and you want to cover up with a blanket, you could be using that. And once more, finding a comfortable position for your low back. So if the legs long, the feet to the far corner edges of your mat works for you, please take that. If you need to come into that constructive rest, if you remember, knees bent and feet as wide as the mat, to that. Knees will fall into each other. And then the arms can open up away from the body in that A-frame position. The palms are facing the ceiling. But if something feels better, just know that you can change that. Shoulders down away from the ears. And then finding length in the back of the neck, tucking chin towards the heart. If you're comfortable closing your eyes, close your eyes or take your glasses off if that's okay for you. And then I invite you to bring all your awareness into your left leg. And you might curl the toes on that foot, but make the muscles from your foot all the way up to your hip tight at one time. And it's even nice, you know, lift that leg up off the mat a little bit. Tight, 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 gripping there. And then relax, release, let that go. Over to the right leg, same thing, you curl those toes, squeeze it up to your hip and lift that leg up off the mat. And relax, release. Good. And then squeeze your seat underneath you. You might feel like your hips are popping up a little here. Get lots of tension in your seat. Good. And then relax, release that. Over to the left arm. Make a fist with that hand and squeeze it all the way up to your shoulder. And lift that arm up off the mat a little bit. Good, relax, release that. Over to the right arm. Make a fist with that hand, squeeze it up to the shoulder, and maybe lift that arm up off the floor a little bit. Good, and relax, release. And then you squeeze the shoulders up towards your ears. Draw the shoulders up, create tension in the neck and the shoulder area. And relax, release that. Knife your shoulder blades together underneath you on the mat, causing that chest to rise up slightly. Good. Relax, release. Broaden those shoulder blades back out. Last, squeeze up your face. Make a prune face. And relax, release. Good. We're going to put that all together. So go back to those legs, maybe curl those toes, squeeze it up to the hips, make fists with those hands, pull the arms off the floor, draw the shoulders up towards your ears, squeeze your feet, squeeze your face, tight, tight, tight. And relax, release, let that go. Good job. This is a good exercise to do in bed if you're having trouble falling asleep. It may help you fall asleep. We're going to go back to that left leg. Notice if you're still holding on somewhere in that left leg, and can you let that go? And the right leg, it's relaxed. Nothing to do here. And your seat is soft. And let your belly go. And you let your left arm be heavy. And your right arm is heavy too. And the muscles of your face are soft. Jaw is soft. Whole body is relaxed. Mind is relaxed. And your heart is relaxed. I'm going to leave you in silence for about 2 minutes here. If you'd like to stay in relaxation a little while longer, you stay right where you are, ignore me. For those who need to get moving, you're going to bend up one knee and bend up the other, bringing those foot soles to your mat. Thinking what side of the body you'd like to roll onto. Go ahead and roll onto that side and support your head, cradle your head in that arm. with that top hand, push your way up to your seat. And thank you. I hope you enjoyed week 2 of this beginner series. And until we see each other again, namaste.